What's up? It's Tom. We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. We're going to talk about both Friday and Saturday's games. Wasn't inspired to do a video last night. Let's put it that way. Not a whole lot of stuff to talk about across the system from Friday night. But Connor Prelip pitched for the Florida Complex League Twins. As you can see his line here, 2 innings, 1 hit, struck out 6 batters. Can't expect much more than that out of him. His first official game appearance since June 9th, 2023. Left-hander, big-time prospect that the Twins drafted. Hopefully, he builds up and can keep this going. That's been such a difficult thing for him just to stay on the mound. But as much arm talent, maybe as anybody in the minor league system, you could argue, but just cannot stay healthy. So Prelip on a rehab assignment with the FCL Twins. Emmanuel Rodriguez, a lot of people have been asking me about him. I'm sorry, I don't have any updates on Emmanuel Rodriguez. He was on a rehab assignment with the FCL Twins for a couple of games and then has not been active with them since then. I don't know a pretty easy guess would be that I think his thumb injury is what he's coming back from. An easy guess would be that's flared up again or something. Unofficially, not anything I've heard. Don't quote me on that, but I don't have an update. A lot of people have been asking about him, justifiably so. But moving on to the results from Friday, the Twins game, I don't even want to talk about, to be honest, especially since they won on Saturday. I'm usually a positive guy anyway, but I just don't really have anything to say about Friday's game. It was just an ugly game. It wasn't a good look. And then across the minor league system, there was 3 more losses that weren't good and a postponement. So here are the minor league numbers from Friday. It was a day of returns, which should have been exciting. Connor Prelip returning, David Festa returning back to the Saints. He couldn't get through the first inning. Darren Bowen, who's been on the injured list for the Colonels, he returned to the Colonels. He couldn't get out of the first inning either. So kind of bummers there, but then Marco Raya did pitch into the 5th inning, which is noteworthy. So good for him. And, should always try to call out. It's not his problem that he's not throwing deeper into games. The Twins are clearly managing him more often than not, but did take him 77 pitches to get into the 5th, 1 out into the 5th. So not his most efficient night either. Edouard Julien had another nice game for the Saints, another productive game for the Saints. Nate Baez is probably a guy I need to devote some more time into talking about. He hit his 10th homer for the Colonels on Friday. Noah Cardenas hit a grand slam, and the Windsurge lost anyway. I don't know how often that happens. How often do you hit a grand slam and lose? Can't imagine it happens that often. But let's get into today, Saturday. We got a lot more fun stuff to talk about, including Randy Dobnak. Every time I mention Randy Dobnak, a lot of you guys kind of snicker and, somewhat justifiably so. But listen, I'm not saying they need to put this guy on the roster or they need to take someone off the roster to get this guy there. But Randy Dobnak 100% has pitched his way back into the conversation. Here he is facing former Saints great Tony Kemp, who the Twins let go a little bit ago, strikes him out. But Randy Dobnak had a really good start. He's on a roll. We'll take a look at his numbers a little bit later. But over his last 8 starts, I think he has a 2.27 ERA, and that's especially noteworthy because AAA is becoming more and more offensive heavy, topped out at 94.1 tonight, but not a guy that really relies that much on his fastballs anyway. He is really leaning heavily on slider changeup, and he gets tremendous movement. He always has. That's kind of been his calling card. It's whether or not he can command that or not. And that comes and it goes, especially since he had that finger injury. Obviously, that's not going to help. But, man, he's looked really good. I'm not saying call him up, but I'm saying it's fun to see Randy Dobnak pitching well, even if he never gets back to the Twins. He's such a great guy to have around in St. Paul on so many levels. Super fan-friendly guy, too. If you go to Saints games that he's not starting, you'll probably see him signing as many autographs as anybody. Just really feels good to see him throwing well. Christian MacLeod, it feels good to see him throwing well, too, because he was drafted in the 5th round all the way back in 2021 and kind of was injured right out of the gate, basically, and hasn't really... He's been passed up by so many guys in his draft class that were drafted so much later. Like David Festa is from his draft class. And here Christian MacLeod is still in Cedar Rapids Probably not long. He got 23 swinging strikes tonight. You see all these gorgeous left-handed curveballs he's dropping in there. 11 strikeouts over 5 2/3 innings. Christian MacLeod struck out 11 dudes tonight in 5 2/3 innings. He has a 2.95 ERA. Again, fifth-round pick back in 2021. A left-hander, too. That's noteworthy because there's not a ton of lefties in the system. Would like to see this guy get the call up to Wichita before too long. Of course, you give someone an opportunity is going to get taken away from somebody, but kind of feels like it's time with Christian MacLeod. The velocity is not impressive. I don't have the numbers from tonight, but usually he's scraping by with 90. But we've seen this movie before where guys do that for a while and then all of a sudden, bam, they're up to 94. So Christian MacLeod, a name to put back in your back pocket. Charlee Soto. Charlee Soto also pitched really well. I don't know what these Fort Myers jerseys are, so don't ask me. I have no idea, especially since the back of them say like player name, whatever. He had 19 swinging strikes. Topped out at 96.6 miles per hour. Really heavily used his changeup, which is huge because he's got to develop that pitch because lefties have kind of eaten him alive. Here he gets one swinging. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts for Charlee Soto in 78 pitches. 18 years old. We talked about Marco Raya. David Festa was a guy the Twins were pretty careful with for a while as well. Charlee Soto is 18 years old, and they're letting him go 5 innings and throw 78 pitches. I think that speaks volumes to how they project this guy out and how he looks, too. As an 18-year-old guy, really filled out, looks good. A big-time start for him. Great to see him pitching well with Fort Myers. Should also call out Luke Keeschall was the Twins representative at the Futures game, taking Brooks Lee's spot. He pinch hit and struck out in his only plate appearance, but a cool experience for Luke Keeschall, I'm sure. Moving on over to the Twins info from this evening. They won 4-2. Tough game at San Francisco. Simeon Woods Richardson struck out 7 guys. That's kind of the big question mark with Woods Richardson is can he dominate a lineup? Can he miss enough bats? And he struck out 7 batters over 4 1/3 innings. I think he struck out a third of the batters he faced tonight and only 1 walk. So kind of a different look out of him. He did give up 7 hits and 2 runs, but was missing a lot of bats. And, with that was a little bit more pitches than we're used to seeing. 86 pitches for him to get through 4 1/3 innings for SWR. But I talked about him a bit on the Twins Off Daily podcast that I was a guest on. If you missed that, go check that out. I think we called him out for being like the unsung hero. Got a lot of talk about him. And this is a team stat, but I think the Twins are something like 12-4 now. They won today. They're like 12-4 when Simeon Woods Richardson pitches. And obviously, when you're on less than 5 innings, you need your bullpen. That's why I've highlighted the bullpen here. You need your guys to hit for you. If you're only throwing 4 1/3 inning, and Simeon Woods Richardson isn't often pitching deep into games, so he does need his teammates to kind of fill in the rest. But I think that just speaks volumes to every time this guy's on the mound, he is giving the Twins a good shot to win. That's huge, especially for somebody that entered the year as the 6th starter. He's just been so important for the Twins. But, again, he's not getting it all done. Huge salute to the bullpen for 4 2/3 innings of shutout ball with 1 hit only given up by Griffin Jacks. Outstanding. Duran picks up his 15th save and was nasty. Topped out at 103.9. He is back, baby. He's back in terms of velo. It is there. Where it goes, how it comes back, if you can figure that out, you can make a lot of money with an MLB team. I haven't really discussed that about him much this year. I figured it would come back. It would take care of itself one way or another. Either he's legitimately hurt or it's going to come back. I know that's painting with a broad brush and simplifying things, but here we are. It's back. 103.9 from Duran tonight. Averaged 100.3 miles per hour. As you can see, the four-seam fastball up nearly 2 miles per hour over his year-to-date average, and the splitter up almost 3 miles per hour from the year-to-date average, though I question if maybe one of those was misclassified. That happens sometimes. Anyway, Duran throwing fire, that's kind of the moral of that there. Onto the hitting side, Carlos Santana, definitely the player of the night. Got 2 hits and drew 2 walks. One of his hits was a home run, which is an accomplishment in itself in San Francisco. It's hard to hit it out there. But good night for the lineup, scoring 4 runs. Not the most impressive accomplishment we've seen out of them, but after Friday, I don't even want to talk about Friday. But after Friday, this was nice to see. Brooks Lee played second base and played it very well. I think he kind of showed some of what I've described him as a playmaker, as a guy who plays his guts out in the field. He's never going to be the most rangy guy in the infield, and especially in the middle infield. Talking about the bar is extremely high in Major League Baseball. The guys who are playing in the middle infield in Major League Baseball are just insane. He's a little bit more, in terms of range, I would put him kind of in like a Jorge Polanco class, but anything he can touch, he's going to make a play on. He is incredible at, if he gets to the ball and has to do like a pirouette and make a throw, he's going to make it. If he has to dive, he's going to make that play. If he's got to throw it from his back, which I've seen him do, he's going to make that play. So Brooks Lee at second base. I mean, I've said that he could be a borderline Gold Glove third baseman. I think he can be a Major League shortstop, but it's going to be a little bit like that Polanco situation when he was a shortstop, where you're always kind of thinking we could probably have somebody better there. The nice thing is we don't have to worry about that because Carlos Correa is going to be playing shortstop more often than not. So yeah, I mean, at second base, Brooks Lee is, I think he can be outstanding there, and he showed that tonight. Made a few, again, I'm not going to pull the highlights for you, but go check those out. He made a few really beautiful plays at second base. Cool to see that. So here's tonight's Saturday night's minor league info. Looks a whole lot better than Friday. We talked about some of these guys. Unfortunately, it's not all good. Corey Lewis did get crushed. Twins minor league pitcher of the year last year. It's been tough. It's been a tough go. He was on the injured list to start the year and just kind of hasn't gained momentum. That's tough. He's going into Double-A for the first time too this year, so several challenges for him, and it's just been a tough go. But again, enough to be excited about with these Dobnak, MacLeod, and Soto lines. Very impressive from that trio we looked at earlier. And on the hitting side, I usually feel like I share as many hitting highlights as pitching highlights usually, but we have very pitching heavy tonight, which is great. But here are kind of the notable hitting performances from Saturday tonight. Walker Jenkins, I have an asterisk there because this game was still in progress while I'm recording this. They were supposed to play a doubleheader today, but we're trying to get one game in and started extremely late compared to the scheduled time. But he'd already had a hit and 2 walks. Jenkins entering today had a .410 OBP. So we haven't seen him really make a lot of hard impact with the ball. We haven't seen him slug a lot, but he has a .410 OBP, and this is kind of being injured for a decent amount of the year, maybe not totally 100% or sort of working his way back into the groove. And you just look at this guy and you can tell he's going to hit for power. I'm not concerned about Walker Jenkins hitting for power. The way he looks at his age, he's going to be okay there. But really a good approach, very patient hitter, does a tremendous job at getting on base. So, again, here are the results from tonight. Twins win, Colonels win, and again, that Muscles game was in progress. The first game of their doubleheader was postponed. So, thanks so much for checking this one out. We'll talk again soon.